Hi, my name is Megan Atuvle, and I've been making interactive floor and wall experiences for over 20 years. Today I'm going to show you how to use LUMOplay's Motion Maker to make a really cool trail effect. I'm going to make two different variations of this, and the reason that I'm doing this is to replace some very old effects that were on our website back in 2011 and that people are continuing to use. And we're starting to receive some reports that these very old apps, which were created in Flash, aren't working so well anymore. So I'm replacing them with something new and up to date. It's going to be a little bit different. It'll be a lot more vibrant. And in the process, I'll show you exactly how I built these apps and how you can build them too. If you have any questions about what you need to make an interactive floor or wall, you can contact me or leave a message in the comments. I'm always happy to help people set something like this up. LUMOplay Free, our software, is available one per person for free to download and evaluate. And if you want to use the software, we sell an educational and small business copy at cost through our website. So if you're interested, you can check out our prices on lumoplay.com. And again, let me know if you have any questions and I'll be happy to help you. So to create the new heart and paint trail effects, I just made one Photoshop document and I imported a bunch of different paint splats and a bunch of different hearts and some little sparkles, because I always really like it when there's a trail and little sparkles come up. I just think it looks cool. And it's something that we couldn't do with the original effect. So it's a way that I can make an improved version, even if it's not exactly like the old one, that is a little bit more engaging. So all of these are separate items on different layers, and I've named all the layers so I can turn all the sparkles on and off individually. Same thing with the hearts. So I can grab all of those. And what I did was I just quick exported every layer to a PNG file, just the size of the asset itself. So it's not the full size of the document. The heart is saved just the size of the heart image. And the last thing that I kind of want to draw attention to is I also had to export this background, which is just a black layer. And the reason that I did that is because the effect is supposed to not really show anything until somebody interacts. So you have to put something in the background. And in the context of projection, the color black just means an absence of light. So if you don't want any light showing up, then you make a black image in the areas that you don't want that light showing up. This is the same principle that's used for masking. If you want to make a projection that is an irregular shape, say a heart or an octagon, I made a video not too long ago about how to create a mask, and masking is available in every one of our templates. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, there is a video linked in the description and hopefully also somewhere on this video, and you can go check that out. Now, once I've exported all of these, I'm ready to go over to my LUMOplay machine and make my effect. So to create the two variations of the trail effect that I want to replace in our app library, I'm going to go into Motion Maker in my LUMOplay desktop app. I'm using LUMOplay Maker, which allows me to publish as many custom apps as I want to, but if you are using Playground, you're going to need to pay every time you make a custom app. So if you're an agency and you're looking to create a lot of apps for your clients, it's much better to have a Playmaker account. And if you want to test the app that you're making in an actual interactive floor or wall, you can connect your design machine to your interactive floor or wall and test it in the final installation. As I mentioned before, it's very important to have your design computer set to the final resolution of your final display, regardless of whether you have it connected or not. So the template that I'm going to use today is called Trails, and if you haven't downloaded it, it'll prompt you to download it before you can use it. I'm going to click Create, and it just opens up the entire experience on one window because I don't have any other monitors connected. And by default, it comes with some pretty cool assets, but we're going to replace all of those. I'm going to start by naming this. I'm going to call it paint splatter trail. And I'm not going to add any overlays, but an overlay is where you would put something like a mask if you want it to be in a regular shape, or a logo, or a call to action, so an idle image that only shows up when people aren't playing, inviting them to come touch the wall or walk on the floor. As I said, I'm not going to use that today, but those are available in every single one of our templates. For the background, I am just going to put in that black image that I saved. So I'll go into my paint splatter folder and just put that black background in there. And for my animated particles, I'm going to remove the defaults and I'm going to put in some sparkles because I think they look cool. Now, when I play with this, the static particles, the ones that don't actually move or animate, are still the same as the defaults. But I can see the animated particles that I've added, and I can already see that they're way bigger than I want them to be. So I want them to be very tiny. Perfect. And I actually really like that. I like how they're behaving, so I'm going to keep the settings where they are. You can change the settings in here if you want to make a lot of them show up, or change the amount of space that they take up or how long they're on the screen. There's a lot of really interesting effects that you can get with just those sliders. For the static particles, I'm going to replace what was in there with some paint. So I'm going to grab all of these paint splats that I created, and now you can kind of see that, first of all, the animated particles aren't spawning as much as they were before because it's been cranked all the way down to 0. So I'm gonna spawn some more. Just make sure that it looks the way I want it to. Perfect. And then I'm going to go back to these static particles, and you can see that there's only a very small amount that are coming up, and I don't want that. I want it to look like a lot of paint. So I'm gonna bump up the amount spawned. That's gonna give me a nice big trail, and I'm gonna actually increase the spread a little bit so it's a very thick trail. And the idea here is that if you have a couple people, you can easily cover the entire canvas with paint. That's gonna be something that kids really enjoy doing. I'm gonna give this a longer lifetime as well, so that the paint actually stays on the screen for a lot longer, and that gives kids a chance to cover the entire surface as quickly as by moving very quickly. And the last section of this template are the idle particles. Now, I don't generally change those, but if you wanted to have these idle particles show up more often or take longer to show up, these are the settings. If you want to turn them off entirely, there's an on-off toggle here. But I'm not changing that today. I'm just going to click save and close this. And now paint splatter trail is in my drafts. I'm going to get rid of this other draft that I wasn't using. So paint splatter trail is in here. And now I'm just going to go back and also make the trail that had hearts. And that way we can replace both of them. So I'm going to go back to my templates. I'm going to create on trails again. Skip overlays, add that black background. And this time, instead of sparkles, I'm going to replace the animated particles with hearts. So I want the hearts to actually be bigger. And I want to spawn quite a few. I don't know if I want too many of them. It's probably a little bit too much. There we go. So just a few, not too many. And then I'm going to go through the same process, adding the paint in the static particles. So grab all of these, bring them in, make sure that the amount spawned is turned up so I get a nice thick trail, and maybe increase the spread and make the lifetime a little bit longer so that they stay on the screen a little bit longer. And there you go. Now I have a new version of both of those effects. I'm going to go name this Heart Splatter Trail. and click save and close it. And now I have heart splatter trail and paint splatter trail, and I can publish both of those, and they will automatically appear in every one of my LUMOplay installations. Now I will be putting these live on the site and replacing those old Flash apps sometime later this week. If you have any comments about the differences between the old app and the new app, if you want to see something that's more similar to the old apps, let me know. I personally really like how vibrant these are. I think they're going to be a lot more fun for kids. But if you have opinions, I want to hear them. So please let me know in the comments if you want me to make a different version of these types of apps. When you click publish, it gives you a warning letting you know that the watermark's going to be removed and that you won't be able to edit your app anymore. Now, because I have LUMOplay Maker, I can just keep making different versions of this app and not having to pay. But if you are using Playground, you will have to pay every single time you finalize an app and publish it. So definitely make sure that you're testing it on the ground. Just connect your design computer to a projector, connect it to the final display, and that way you can test it in the actual installation before you publish it and make sure it behaves exactly how you want it to. I'm not going to click publish on these because I've already made a couple versions, but I will definitely be doing a quick comparison of before and after. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the new versions. I hope that you enjoyed this week's tutorial. If you have any questions or you're wondering what you can make with LUMOplay, please reach out. You can leave a comment and I'll answer it, or you can reach me at info@lumoplay.com. I'll see you next week with another tutorial.